Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and we have another members only full moon video. And this time it's going to be an eclipse, this powerful full moon that's coming up on July 27th at 4:20 p.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, and 9:20 p.m. London time. Is going to be a lunar eclipse in almost 5 degrees of Aquarius. And as I already mentioned in my last video, eclipses occur approximately every 6 months when the sun, moon, and earth align perfectly enough for either a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse to take place. And so this is the second of 3 eclipses in a row. The next one will be on August 11th. And eclipse season will last until August 26th. So eclipse season is really sort of like a time where we're undergoing sort of like a consciousness upgrade, right? So it's a time where we're rebooting our system, in a sense, our soul system. So eclipses are very powerfully connected to the moon nodes, which are connected to our soul's journey. And so therefore, eclipses are typically much stronger lunations. So in this case, it's a very much stronger full moon. And because it's happening in the Aquarius Leo polarity, that intensity is all about becoming aware of our rigid thinking and opening up to our heart and heart chakra. And so as we do this, we can joyfully and actively participate in shaping a future that serves all humanity while supporting the healthy evolution of mankind and this planet. So this is really an important polarity to participate in and to really allow ourselves to have a healthy evolution in the Aquarian Leo energies. Now, eclipses occur every 19 years, as I already mentioned in my last video about the solar eclipse, right? This particular lunar eclipse tracks back to July 28th, 1999. So if you're old enough to know what happened at that time, there was a lunar eclipse in exactly the same degree in Aquarius Leo. And so you can ask yourself, what was going on for me around that time? And what in my life now is ready for completion of some sort? And what might be ready to go to the next level? So just feel into the energy of that. It doesn't have to be the exact, we're not talking about that the exact same thing is going to take place, but sort of feel into what was energetically going on for you at that time and how can that be related to what's going to happen with this lunar eclipse, right? Now, life-changing revelations are very likely for the next 2 weeks. And with that, we, of course, have shifts in our consciousness, and the impact of an eclipse energy also lasts way longer than a regular full moon, right? So this one will probably last about 6 months until the next lunar eclipse in January. So this is the 4th lunar eclipse in the Leo Aquarius polarity that we've been experiencing since February of 2017. That was a lunar eclipse in Leo at the time. And this particular polarity will end with an eclipse, also a lunar eclipse in Leo, in January of 2019. So this will be our last lunar eclipse in that polarity. So we're almost at the end of exploring these polarities. So we've already kind of explored quite a bit, so ask yourself, what has started to shift for me since 2017 when it comes to my attitudes towards the collective, towards humanity, towards like-minded people, towards groups or affiliations? What about friends or networks that we belong to, right? What has sort of shifted in my attitude towards those things? And was there perhaps also a shift in my desire for joy? How about for heartfelt, authentic self-expression? And what changes have I been able to implement already since then, right? So since February of 2017, what are some changes that I've been able to implement since then in those regards? Now, on January 31st of this year, we had our most recent lunar eclipse in the Leo Aquarius polarity. And this eclipse was also nudging us to make some changes in our lives. So think back to late January, early February of this year, and just see what unfinished businesses is asking to be completed that maybe got started around that time. And what is ready to move to the next level, right? If there was something that we started around that time and now we want to move it to another level, what might that be? So just kind of think back to those dates. Now, during a lunar eclipse, the full moon slowly gets darker and darker as it passes through the Earth's shadow. And so therefore, what's usually the brightest time of the month, because the full moon lights up the Earth quite tremendously, right? Becomes, even if it's just for a moment, the darkest time of the month with an eclipse, right? So this brings what has been in the unconscious to the surface. So there's some kind of like needing to go within and really look into the darkness, or look into the shadow, or look into what's simmering underneath during the time of a lunar eclipse. So the flow of change is very strong for the next few weeks because we're being pulled into the unknown and into something unexpected, right? And eclipses have that energy of like something unexpected is about to occur, and we're not quite sure what it is because we're getting a consciousness upgrade, and so everything seems a little bit confusing at that time. Now, this is making it an important time to really take good care of ourselves because it's uncertain, because there's unexpected stuff happening, because we're getting a consciousness upgrade. Our bodies, physical, emotional, spiritual bodies are adjusting to higher frequencies. And so we may need more rest. We may want to have less outside stimulation, whether that's connecting with other people or just anything that kind of aggravates our energetic body in some way, shape, or form. So ask yourself, what actions or rituals might support me with this recalibration? And what information might my body, my physical body, have for me if I tuned into its wisdom? Because our physical body is very intelligent. Every cell in our body has intelligence. So if we could trust that and just kind of tune in with our physical beingness, right, we would get a lot of information about what it is that we need in the moment. Also, to have a more detailed understanding of how these eclipses that we're currently in are going to affect us personally. So you have not just a general overview of the eclipse, but really look in your chart, like how is this working? I want to invite you to join us on August 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. London Time for our live webinar. Or you can also register for the presentation, the video presentation of that webinar if you're not capable of making that time slot and that date. And please keep in mind, if you're already a star or superstar member, you will get an automatic email of a link to the live webinar and also a link to the MP4 video presentation via email. So check your email if you'd like to watch that webinar. Okay? Now, if you're a universal member, you can just register on my homepage where the countdown is on the homepage. You just go register. Okay? Now, the moon in Aquarius is located right between the south node and retrograde Mars in the eclipse chart. So what does that mean? So not only are we becoming aware of what has been suppressed or ignored in regards to the lower vibrations of Aquarius, but also in regards to our masculine energies, right? Because the Mars energy is there. And so, because this is a south node eclipse, we're invited to address, redefine, and release old patterns, like patterns, conditioned patterns, or things that we've been doing for a while that are just not in our best and highest interest anymore, and focus on completing unfinished business and breaking free from the past. Also remember that the questions that are in the lunar eclipse video are also available via the weekly forecasts. So if you're reading the weekly forecasts for that week, for the week of July 27th, you will find all the coaching questions in that post for July 27th as well. Okay, so that way you can have it in writing if you want to meditate on them or if you want to journal on them. All right. Now, if you have any general questions for me, feel free to email me at Sonja@astrologercoach.com. If you have anything personal, please join us for the monthly forecasting forums, or you can book a reading with me. You can start out with something like a soul purpose reading, or which is only 25 minutes long, or you can do a whole life reading if you haven't done a reading with me yet. Or if you've already done readings with me, then please book a follow-up reading. Okay, so these are the choices that you have, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you during the monthly forecasting forum for those of you who are joining, and I'll be back with the solar eclipse video in another 2 weeks of time. All right, so stay tuned for that if you're not joining us for the webinar. All right, have a good one. Much love to you all.